Briscoe seems to be the only listed retailer outperforming in this economy. Its boss, Rod Duke, reveals its secrets to success.
To make a living in this country, you really have to be number one. The concept is just so powerful. If the rest of the market wants to sell cheap, scungy product, that's fine, but I don't want to go there. Do I see opportunities where I can save a few pennies? Yeah, but look, that's just me.
It's Monday, the 25th of March, and you're watching Markets with Madison. Sliding sales of stock and businesses just saw the Warehouse book a $23.7 million loss, and KMD Brands, the owner of Kathmandu, book a $9 million loss. But the Briscoe Group is still super profitable and has managed to protect most of the margin gains it made over recent record years. In, might I add, a so-called cost of living crisis. So what is it about this company that makes more money than most?
It's all down, down, down at Briscoe's.
Hundreds of items are down by 5 to 50%. Right now at Briscoe's.
This season's lowest heating prices are at Briscoe's.
A Kiwi Christmas starts at Briscoe's.
Big difference.
Rod Duke is retail royalty. He bought Briscoe's in 1990 and has grown it from a then loss-making DIY hardware business to an $84 million annual profit homeware and sporting goods giant. Briscoe's and Rebel Sport are household names, and it's paying off in this economic environment. Its sales grew slightly in the year to January, while other major retailers KMD Brands and the Warehouse are in decline. Some of Briscoe Group's secret formula can be found in this warehouse facility, where inventory is so important. Rod Duke and his executive team gave us inside access to show how fine the balance of stock on hand is. Add to that, Rod Duke saw the COVID shipping crisis coming. He stocked up on goods, meaning it could meet the spike in shopping demand that came with the pandemic. He's still selling some of it down, but told me in this interview that it won't be at a major discount. Rod, thank you for having us here today. Really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure.
I want to know how Briscoe's is making a profit while other retailers, KMD Brands, the Warehouse, are making net losses. How are you and Briscoe's and Rebel Sport outperforming in this environment?
I think for us, it's all about what the customers want. We have a merchandising policy in terms of famous brands in both Briscoe's and Rebel at the right price. So I think if you sell high quality product and you sell it at a pretty good price, that's a pretty powerful message that customers have clearly lucked onto, and it's working for us.
Inventory is very important in this as well, isn't it? Because you're forecasting and foresight of the COVID shipping crisis and also the COVID spike in demand is also what's helped Briscoe fly when other retailers haven't been. I really want to understand your thinking of how you initially saw and thought that trend was going to come.
I can't put it down to experience because pandemics are fairly rare, but we did think that people would find it difficult to get supply and made the decision to top up fairly heavily on and bring forward a whole lot of orders just in case this happened. Look, we have the capacity to dispose of stock very, very quickly. We know how to do that. We know how to run sales, we know how to run big sales. So it was an estimate or a bit of a guess from us as to what would happen. And as you say, quite rightly, we topped up with sporting goods and we topped up with housewares, and we were able to deliver during the pandemic when many, many, many other retailers could not deliver.
How much in total extra inventory, extra stock on hand did you get during the pandemic?
Look, we'd like our inventories at about that time of year to be about $70 million. We were over $100 million, so we were 50% higher in terms of inventory hold than we would normally be at that time of year.
Did you sell all of it?
We've sold all of it right now and a bit more.
The unwinding of inventory is a very interesting story at the moment, isn't it? Because, like you said, you want to dispose of that stock, but to protect your profitability and your margins, you don't want to sell it at too big of a discount. But this unwinding of inventory story means that sales are on everywhere at the moment. So how are you both maintaining and keeping consumers on your side, but ensuring that you don't sell things too cheap?
That expansion of gross margin out some 630 basis points, that was last year compared to prior years, really was during COVID, and it really meant that there was no requirement or no need for me to be heavily discounting merchandise, knowing full well that it was going to be very difficult to get back into stock. So that makes no sense. So we're not going to do that. So we applied a slightly different selling model. And yes, we sold a lot of merchandise. We were lucky enough to be able to get rid of that merchandise, that not at heavy discounts, and so we banked a lot. Last year, we managed to save nearly half of that 630 point gain in margin and still get our sales as well, because we changed our selling model a little. All the merchandise that we bought heavily in was regular selling merchandise. There was no fringe merchandise, so there was no risk that we saw. And now that merchandise has come down from just over 100 million to 70 million, we've now got an expectation that we can bring it down to nearly 65 million.
And that's a level you're comfortable with?
Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable at 65 million now that the supply chain has eased and product now is readily available.
What are you doing with discounting now? Are you feeling more competition to reduce your prices given that everybody else is as they unwind their blowout of inventory?
It is something that we look at weekly. Some weeks we go heavy, some weeks we don't.
What determines that? Is that just your personal preference?
Competition. If competition have got issues and they're out there yelling and screaming promotions and hype, then I'm in as well. We don't back away from these sorts of fights, because at the end of the day, I've got budgets to meet. I've got sales I've got to get. Every one of our key executives has got bonuses to meet, and they're on sales, but also on profitability.
Are you feeling the competition to discount more so now than in previous years?
No, not at all. Not at all. I think in the year going forward, our competition is probably going to be weaker, not stronger.
Does that mean we should expect prices to rise, Rod?
No, not. Look, price will only rise when I have to pay more from the factories. Prices will only rise when the cost of freight doubles. Prices will only rise when the New Zealand dollar falls over compared to that of my primary buying currency, which is US dollars. They are the three key factors.
How do you think about discounting generally? We spoke about this when we were walking around. You said you hate to leave sales on the table. So if a product was priced too high, that's actually frustrating for you. But likewise, you told me about these very high count thread sheets that were sold too cheap and they sold like hotcakes. You knew you could have charged more for them. So how does that balance work in your head?
I only know the answers after the event. So
of course.
So I'm a very, very clever fella. I'm not the buyer any longer. And so, look, buyers rarely make mistakes. An adequate profit for a big sales event is moreover where we go. So yes, look, I think I probably could have got another $10 for those 1,000 thread kits. I do. But at the end of the day, our customers got a screaming bargain. We sold tens of thousands of them, and people are happy. And people are talking about Briscoes, and they're talking about the 1,000 thread count sheets to their relatives and their next door neighbours. So, look, it's great for me, but do I see opportunities where I can save a few pennies? Yeah, but look, that's just me.
What role does product mix play in all of this?
Product mix and product quality plays a very, very, very important mix in my business. You know, we have to differentiate ourselves from the rest of the market. If the rest of the market wants to sell cheap, scungy product, that's fine. There are some people who want to buy that, and that's fine. But I don't want to go there. I would much prefer for both my brands, both sporting goods and housewares, to sell really high quality product, but sell them at the right price. And the right price, is often, is sometimes on sale, but look, the right price is in stores every day.
If we look at the category spectrum for homewares and sporting goods, where do you think Briscoe's is positioned in that spectrum, and where do you want to be?
Briscoe's itself is in that spectrum is between portable appliances and household textiles, all the way through to luggage and indoor occasional furniture. We specialise in pretty much all those categories. So we sell a lot of luggage, and I'd be surprised if we weren't the #1 seller of luggage in this country by a long way. But New Zealand's a little different because there's not a lot of people, and to make a living in this country you really have to be #1, I think, #1 or a close #2. Otherwise there's just not the volume available to make any money. Rebel Sport is a bit different. Rebel Sport is clearly a market leader by a long way. And that's because we sell all the famous brand names and we sell them at the right price.
At one stage, they weren't #1. At one stage, they didn't even exist before you came in.
Before 1996, they did not exist in this country. Quite
So
right.
how did you get from scratch to #1?
Because we thought of a plot that resonated immediately with Kiwis. And the plot was, if you put all the tennis rackets, all the footy boots, all the footwear, all the apparel, and everything in one shop, under one roof, and make it really convenient for people to shop, make it value for people to shop, and make it really high quality famous brands, Kiwis will come. And they did. And we went from nobodies before September 1996 to #1 in the country within the first year. And it's just got bigger and bigger and bigger. It's a wonderful business. But it's also pretty good when you're standing there on your own and the concept is just so powerful. It's one of those dreams where famous brand, good price, convenient location, convenient to shop in, people love the shops. It's a winner.
So those are all the factors that make #1.
Absolutely, yeah.
Rod, we're told the consumer is doing it extremely tough at the moment. We have still pretty high inflation, and as a result of that, high interest rates. You've been in retail in New Zealand for 34 years, since 1990 when you bought Briscoe's. How would you describe the consumption economic environment that we're in now, and how bad is it really?
It's tough. It's no question it's tough. What you're hearing is exactly right. Housing interest rate, look, I don't think 6% is high, but some people do. But then
It's high relative to current house prices.
Well, yes it is, and it's relative. It's high relative to what it used to be. It used to be 3 and now it's 6. But only 10 minutes ago it was 9. Wasn't that long ago it was 9%. So 6 is not that bad. But the problem is when you get a combination of housing interest rates, the price of gasoline, price of utilities, price of food, price of insurances, the price of utilities, have all gone through them, and all at the same time. It is tough out there. Yes, we're doing pretty good. But remember, I'm not saying there's more customers out there. What I'm probably saying to you is that there's been a market share shift. The other retailers that you mentioned, and probably others as well, are down. Yes, they are down, and I'm up. But that's not because there's more customers. That means a lot of their customers have transferred across to me.
Yeah, if we talk about the competitors just briefly, KMD Brands, the Warehouse Group, both of them making losses. Do you have any advice for them? If you were them, what would you do?
I'm not going to pretend that I know the answers, okay? Sometimes it's not as easy to look at a balance sheet and know what the answers are. I'm sure there's some very, very clever people working inside those organisations who have got unique problems, okay, that are hard to solve, okay? But I'm busy enough where I am, trying to make a living. No, I've got no advice except keep on trying.
The market's for sale. Do you want to buy it?
They haven't spoken to me. No one has.
They only announced it today, to be fair. So I'm cheekily asking you if you would buy it.
Oh, well, I need to look at it. You know, it's like motor cars. I need to drive it. I need to look at it. I need to like the colour. I like to, you know, I don't know. I don't know because I don't know the shape of it. It's clearly a difficult business because look, they're pretty good retailers and they can't make money out of it. So no, I'm not saying no, but I'm definitely not saying yes.
You mentioned balance sheet there, and I have a nickname for you, if you don't mind me telling you. No debt Duke. No debt.
No.
Why not?
Well, because we've been clever enough with our money not to need it. Look, if I needed it, I'd go to the bank and they're knocking on my door wanting to lend me money all the time.
I bet they are, because you know what's happening right now. You're actually making money off them.
Well,
and deposit rates.
Well, I'm lending them money, yeah. So, look, we've got a terrific relationship. I just don't happen to need it because we happen to have a very, very efficient business. That, you know, I care about every dollar I spend on inventories, on capex, on everything. We watch it very, very carefully. Now, and why I would want to pay someone to lend me money if I don't have to, no.
You are spending on one thing at the moment, a $100 million new automated facility 13 kilometres away from here in Drury in South Auckland. I'm really interested in how that will perhaps improve your profitability, because if you're making that capital investment now while you're already profitable, how much more can we expect your margins to grow with a much bigger, more efficient warehouse system?
Okay, that $100 million is over the next 3 years. Okay, so it's a staggered spend. We expect the brand new DC facility to be fully equipped, automated, ready and operational by third quarter 26. But hoping we can get it done by second quarter 26. So that's our timeline. Why open a new DC? We have a tendency to thrash assets. And this one that we're in now has been thrashed for far too long.
Do you own this or do you have a landlord?
No, we have a landlord.
I hope they don't watch this, Rod.
Oh no, I mean I've thrashed the use of it. You know,
you've outgrown it.
And we've outgrown it, and we've now made a determination and explored it long enough to now be able to foresee a lot of the savings we can actually make by spending money now. So this particular facility and the way in which we work, okay, means that things like online fulfillment. Online fulfillment is done from all the stores. There are some savings because with the routing system we have, we send that particular sale to a nearby store that has the stock. So it's relatively easy then to dispatch and get it to the customer quickly. But it does mean that those stores carry more stock than just a regular bricks and mortar requirement sees they have. So what we've made a determination, we've had a look and said, okay, we believe we can take 20% of the inventories out of the stores and bring it back to a DC. Okay? So there's labour savings in the stores. Now I can do one of two things. I could save 20% of the labour, okay, because they're handling way less stock than they normally would, or I can leave that labour in stores and offer superior service to customers.
And that's your plan?
And that's the plan. Secondly, we have a model, because we have a very, very modestly sized DC, that says when the merchandise comes out of those containers there into this facility, I push the stock into the stores. And I estimate what their rate of sale will be, so I push that much stock and I leave 20% here. So I push 80%. That's too much. But I have to do it because I haven't got a lot of room here. So I push the stock. Now with the new facility, I'm going to be able to push a minimum amount of stock into the stores, but I'm going to be able to replenish as they sell very, very quickly.
So you'll be able to fulfill the pull orders as
Correct.
Opposed to push?
Correct. And I'll fulfill my fulfillment orders for online from the DC. Mostly. There'll be some go from the stores, but the high sellers fast moving will all come from DC. So that takes extra labour out of the stores as well, so I can offer better service.
So it's all about efficiency, but also service.
It's all about efficiencies and savings, so long as there's a cherry for me. And the benefit for me is that you, the customer, will get way better service as a result of the spend, as a result of the new DC. You know, for us, it's all about customer experience. If I can save some money as well, that's perfect.
But coming back to my initial question about this new DC facility is the profitability gains. What would or could you price that at? Because I'm assuming you've done the work on what those savings and perhaps increased sales from better service would mean for the bottom line.
Look, there's no question, yes, there will be some significant savings. We're working on another plan where we may very well put one of our famous brands merchandise through here as well.
Can you give me more detail?
At a later date. And so that's a further saving for us. Well, and a saving for the famous brand as well. And there may be more than one of those. Okay? So there's lots of things happening right now with the initial plans we had. There are significant savings, but we believe there's more on the table to come. We've got 3 years to explore and get that done. We think it's a fabulous investment and right for us right now.
Speaking of plans, and if you're always thinking of the future like that, as I know you are, you mentioned a little earlier in this interview the amount of time that the people in this business have been with you.
Yep.
What's your succession plan, Rod? Could Briscoe's exist without Rod Duke?
Well, yes, because that's my plan. This is my legacy to be left. It's no accident that I have a lot of very, very, very experienced folks. It's no accident that, you know, I probably play a bit more golf these days than I used to.
Have you gotten any better?
No, regrettably not. But that's another story. So, yeah, look, I'm confident that I'm leaving a lot of money on the table. So I'm confident that the people that are now sitting alongside me and mentoring, and I'm going away overseas with them, learning about where their head's at, what they're spending, why are they spending it. So I'm learning at the same time, but I'm also doing way more mentoring and speaking and encouraging and looking over stuff. So look, I've been preparing this for some time, and look, in anticipation of your next question, I don't know. I haven't got the timeline.
Do you want to play more golf?
No, I'm playing enough now. You know, my body can't take any more than that. I'm playing plenty. But look, it's good fun mentoring and helping folks into your own job. I love it. It's good fun.
You're definitely still very much involved in this business. I mean, you've come out here today to walk us around, which is incredible. Thank you. But it does seem like your head is shifting, like you are making more time to make that succession plan so that when your time does come and you do decide to go, that it's in place.
Deliberately. I have to, you know. Now, I've even resolved that the end of my career is closer than the beginning. I'm in. I have to do something. I'm happy to do it, and you know, I'm not looking forward to it because I gave birth to it. So, no. But look, the day will come, but when it does, you know, everyone's going to be prepared, and no one's going to notice a lot of difference at all, because who follows me is going to love it just as much as I do.
Thank you so much for your time today, Rod. I really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure.
You just gotta love that he held his sunglasses in his hand the whole way through that interview. Also, I had no idea that the entire executive entourage was showing up to this interview, so it was quite a privilege to see how invested they all were in making this episode happen. Now go put your money to work. Thanks for watching Markets with Madison, the New Zealand Herald show for interested investors. If you want to stay up to date with financial markets, click the subscribe button below and you can watch our other episodes here. Stay up to date with all the business news and numbers as they land on nzherald.co.nz.